What's happening? Hi, you guys. It's Tara, and I think I'm live. My computer is doing that weird thing. Oh, hello. Okay, wait, am I live now? I think I'm live now. My computer is doing that where it shows an arrow going around really slowly, and I wasn't quite sure what was happening. But I think that you're with me now. Are you guys with me now? I think you are. Okay. So, I'm Tara, and I am really excited about this Too Much Tuesday thing because last week was my very first Facebook Live. There's Trisha. Hi, Trisha. Last week was my very first Facebook Live and my very first Too Much Tuesdays. And it was cool, but I'm just so excited because I've been getting some feedback from people that I didn't even know were on. And apparently, this is really helping people a lot. And if I didn't believe in this before, which I did, I believed in this 100% before, but now I believe in it 1,000%. I know that's not possible for my mathematician friends. I have mathematician friends, but now I believe in it 1,000% because just so much has happened, even in one week. So that's what I want to talk with you guys about today a little bit. And we're going to jump right into some easy energy tools that you can use to get rid of the stress. Not get rid of it because the stress is there, but to deal in this really healthy and I would even say joyful way to deal with the stress that is in your life. Stress just is around, but what matters is how you are able to allow it or not allow it to flow through you and you just keep on like having your life. But this past week has been a little bit extra rough, I think, on a lot of people and a lot of my clients and friends and even relatives. I have clients and friends and family in Texas. So if anybody knows what was going on in Texas this past week, it was like 20 degrees and they had no heat and it was really, really hard on people and awful. I have friends and clients in LA County. They have not had in person school there since last March, you guys. That's hard. It's hard on kids. The suicide rate in teenagers has actually gone up in districts where they don't have in-person school. I don't need to tell you all these problems. I want to tell you one more thing though, so that you don't worry about me, and that's that the reason here that I have like this little swelling and little bruising. Nobody punched me. I had oral surgery yesterday, and in fact have been really using my energy tools to help me to get over it, and I already feel good. I did take the day yesterday to rest. Rest is good, you guys. And even though I couldn't have, like 100% just resting, I really like everything that I could do, to just rest and let my body reset. That's what I did. And I use my, as you know, if you were here last week, we talked about EFT. And I taught you guys how to do this really simple little tapping routine that actually makes you feel different. And it takes sometimes as little as 5 minutes to do. Sometimes, if you've got a really deep issue, it will take, 20 or 30 minutes, but that's better than being like in this horrible state of like anxiety and overwhelm for the whole day or the whole week or your whole life. So I'm giving you guys these energy tools that you can use on yourself. Um, so last week I told you that you can think of your emotions sort of like a tantruming 2-year-old. And I just want to revisit that for a moment because even if you were here, if you just do something for like half an hour one time, it might not quite sink in all the way so that you feel capable of really utilizing this tool in your life. So that's why we're going over EFT a little bit more today. And I'm going to have a live client. If I can figure it out technologically, which I think I can, if the technological gods are with us, then you'll be able to see me working on a client, and that will help you to be able to see really how to work the tapping on yourself. You can just say the same thing over and over, real simple, even though I have this stress, I love myself, or whatever you're using, but we're going to, get a little bit deeper with it too, so that you can really be thorough and really know what you're doing when you're tapping with yourself or even with a friend or a child. So one thing that I notice is that now with COVID kind of extending and going on, and it's not going to be over in a couple of weeks, that we're not only experiencing COVID anxiety, but we're adding the regular life stuff on top of it. And that is a lot. So whether you're in an area that just had some kind of natural disaster thing like Texas, or whether you're stressed because your kids still aren't in school, or whether, like me, you're having a little health issue that in normal times would be stressful, and now everything is compounded. And on top of that, people are saying to themselves, I should be okay. I should be okay. And so that's where we get back to the tantruming 2 year old. If you have ever had your child, or you've been responsible for somebody else's child, and they start freaking out in a grocery store, I want that candy bar, I want that candy bar, and you tell them to be quiet and you yell at them, what happens? They get louder, it gets worse. If you try to lecture them and try to make them understand logically, well, it's really not good for them to have that candy bar, what happens? They get louder, it gets worse. The only way to quiet a tantruming 2 year old, or I believe our own emotions, strong emotions, is to see them, recognize them, accept them. And then, believe it or not, we'll be able to release them and let them move through us. But not if we deny it, not if we go, I should be better than this. Other people are doing okay. Why can't I get it together? What we do is so now I'm going to go through the tapping routine real quick, and then we're going to try to get Trisha on here. Hi, Kathy. So we always start right here. Okay, remember, you start with this point that's about halfway between this knuckle and the bottom of your hand. Use 2 fingers just to tap. And we're tapping on these points because they're the end points of meridians, and they really work to communicate with that part of your brain, the amygdala, that's that tantruming 2 year old part of your brain. But really, I don't want to call you a tantruming 2 year old. It's just, it's natural. It's that part of your brain that goes into fight or flight or freeze. And like I said, I think we're all kind of starting to get through the anxiety part of COVID, where we had a lot of cortisol and adrenaline. Those are the stress, hormones, and they are actually useful. They're there for a reason, to make us able to take action, But now we're getting more, I've observed, into the kind of depression of it. Like, it's too much. I'm just exhausted. That's why we don't call it just fight or flight anymore. We call it fight or flight or freeze. And we're getting more into the freeze aspect of it, right? So this will really help you to just accept, and we're communicating with that part of your brain that is either fighting or wants to flee, although there's really nowhere to flee anymore. uh, or freeze, which is just either wanting to sleep all the time, wanting to just daydream all the time, or on your phone, wanting to scroll all the time, wanting to eat chips or whatever your junk food of choice is all the time. That's various ways of freezing. So we're going to start right here. And let's say that you are feeling just overwhelmed and depressed and lethargic, like I'm saying, because of COVID plus the other stuff in your life that was already there. So you would start with a statement of even though, and then you say the problem. So that's easy, right? You know what your problems are. Even though I feel, I'm doing this for myself because I feel it sometimes too, using these wonderful tools that I have for it. Even though I feel, let's see, last week I did overwhelmed, and that really helped a lot. This week I'm feeling more tired from it, and it might be because of the oral surgery yesterday or whatever, but let's do tired. Even though I feel tired from all this COVID stuff and all the other stuff combined, I accept my feelings. So you're going to say the problem, put even though in front of it, and then on the other hand, you're going to say the sort of, like, we call it the balancing statement. It balances out the issue. But the main thing about it that you need to remember is that we accept ourselves, okay? So if you feel you can't say that you accept yourself, then just say you accept that that's the feeling that you're having right now. And you say it 3 times as you're tapping on this point. Even though I do have this feeling of just being tired from all the COVID stuff, plus all the other stuff in my life, I accept those feelings. They're feelings, and I have them, and it's okay. Even though I have this feeling of tired from COVID and everything else, I accept myself and my feelings. And then we're going to go to this point on top of your head, right here. And you can shortcut it now and just say, oh, this feeling of being tired. And then the next point, you say, be nice and firmly, 10 or 15 times, that top point on top of your head. And you're going to go to this eyebrow point right here. This feeling of being tired. Now notice that I'm not saying I'm tired because I am not a feeling. I'm myself. I'm Tara. You're not your feeling of overwhelm or your feeling of anxiety or whatever it is. You're a person who's just having this feeling. That's why it's going to be able to move through you. And then the next point is right here beside your eye. You're kind of going around this bone right here, okay? So, this feeling of being tired, it's there. This feeling of being tired, this is the next point right under your eye. This feeling of being tired that I do have kind of a lot, I accept it. This feeling right under your nose, right here, okay? This feeling I have of being tired that I'm accepting. This feeling I have, so right on your chin, right under your mouth, right here, this feeling I have of being tired. Yeah, I accept that I have this feeling. By the way, when we say that we accept it, we're not saying we want it to continue. We're just saying that we see it, like you would with a 2-year-old. I see you are upset. Still not getting the candy bar, but I see how upset you are. Let me give you a hug. You're so upset. Okay? It's just accepting your feeling. That's all. The next point is K27. Find your collarbone, these little like bony notches right here. Go about an inch below there and then a little bit out, about another inch out, and you can actually feel if you press, there's a little indentation there. And that's where K27, it's on the kidney meridian, the 27th point on the kidney meridian. That's why we call it K27. And you can tap nice and hard, or you can rub in little circles. It might be sore there. That just means you're stressed. Okay? So you wanna like massage it a little bit so the stress can move through you. Even though I'm tired, I have it. I said I'm tired. Whoops. I have a feeling of being tired. I accept myself. And then you're going to go, the next point is find the deepest point of your armpit, go about 4 inches down, and it'll be right there. It might be a little sore there or it might not. You can do on either side or on both sides. Even though I have this feeling of tired, I accept myself. Okay, so those are the main points, and you just keep tapping on them, stimulating those meridian points, and believe it or not, it helps ratchet down these very strong feelings. And we usually rate the feelings kind of on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the absolute worst you've ever felt in your life, 0 being I feel amazing right now. And we do that so that we know that it's improving or if it's getting worse, so that means you need your statement a little bit if you're just making yourself worse and worse. It's going to be easier for you guys to understand if we can get Trisha in here. So I'm going to go over here and invite Trisha to do this. Whoops. If you navigate away from this, the live video will end. Do you want to do that? No, I don't. Trisha, it might not be working. Let me try one more thing. No, I don't want to delete your comment. Trisha, I promise I will get you in here next week if we don't get you in here this week. Let's see. See if I can go here. No. Okay, we might not be able to get you in here today, Trisha. I really thank you for being willing to do this with me, Trisha, and everybody. You're all part of this experiment. Um, I'm supposed to be able to click on your picture and add you to our Facebook Live here, but it's not letting me um, because my computer and I have a very complicated relationship. Let me try one more thing. Anybody else? Whoops. No, no, no. It just keeps saying, do you want to end it? And I really don't want to end it. Okay. So, Trisha, we will definitely get you in. I'll figure it out. Maybe Leanne can help me figure it out, and we'll get you in next week. In fact, next week, you guys, we might do a little EFT because we didn't get Trisha in here. But also, I have some really cool Eden energy techniques to show you that I have definitely been using on myself every day. So stay tuned for that next week. So this week, let me delve into this a little bit more. Let's say on myself. So let's say that I decided that I wanted to tap on, Trisha says, no problem, thank you. Let's say that I wanted to tap on, I just feel tired a lot because of COVID and all these other issues in my life that we all have. And as I'm tapping on, even though I have this feeling of tired, I accept myself. Let's say it started at like a 6. It's not terrible, but it's bothering me. I decide it's 6 on a scale of 0 to 10, right? So let's say you're working on yourself, you've got some issue instead of 6. And as you tap through, what we want, of course, is for that scale to go down. We want, oh, now it's a 3, and I'm going to tap a little bit more. And now it's a 2, and I'm going to tap a little more, and it keeps going all the way down. That's cool. Sometimes, truthfully, what happens is you're tapping on something and it goes up instead because what you're doing is focusing on your issue when you're used to being in nice denial about your issue, okay? Denial is there for a reason, just like cortisol and adrenaline is there for a reason to make you do stuff. Denial is there so that you don't have to just constantly, be in breakdown, and you can make sure that you're still, going to the grocery store and feeding your children, right? So denial can be okay, but we don't want to be in denial all the time. But we're all in so much denial lately because things have been so stressful lately that a lot of times we are just so used to it that we don't even know the difference. We don't even know that we are in denial. So you're like, oh yeah, this isn't too bad of a feeling. I'm going to try this tapping thing on being tired. And then as you tap through, it gets worse. And you start going, I'm tired and I don't know why. And you start freaking out. Please, you guys, do not leave it right there. Don't go, well, this tapping doesn't work. It made it worse. I'm going to have some potato chips or something because then you've just made yourself feel even worse. Okay. And I don't want that. If it gets worse, what you want to do is say, oh, there's another aspect in here that I'm upset about, but I'm not directly addressing. What is it? And you can just talk to yourself. You know yourself. I know myself. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that I started out with the tired thing, right? And then I'm feeling worse and worse and worse. And I go, okay, what is it really then? What is it really, Tara? I talk to myself like I'm doing a session on somebody else. What is it, honey? What is it? What's it? You know what? You know what I'm feeling? I'm feeling resentment. I feel not just tired, but resentful. And I don't feel specifically resentful at a person. I'm not resentful of, my oral surgeon for doing the surgery yesterday. I'm not resentful of my child right now. For sometimes I am, but right now I'm not because, she's doing online school as best she can. You know what I'm resentful of? COVID itself. I resent COVID. I just do. And so, in my other technique, one of my other techniques that I do, theta healing, we talk a lot about resentment. It's one of what we call the 3 R's: resentment, regret, and rejection. And we all have these things in our lives, or we have at some point. And they're very heavy energies. So in theta healing, we always say that you want to clear your 3 R's. And there's a beautiful exercise that we have in theta healing that does that. And I'll be happy to share that in a Facebook Live soon. I really want to do the 3 R's soon. But right now, I'm going to address this little resentment I have at COVID doing EFT. And we'll see if that will get me to the place that I want to be. Because the tired thing theoretically made me worse, right? So I'm going to go, even though I resent COVID, okay, and I can feel that that actually is what it is. I was okay with the tired thing. I was just using that for an example for you guys. But now, as soon as I say I resent COVID, I feel emotion coming up. I feel, and this is another thing you guys can do. Where do I feel this in my body? I feel this in my heart. I'm like, oh, it makes me kind of heartsick to think about all of the people. I know so many friends and clients whose elderly parents have been very much affected by COVID. They either have passed away or they're in nursing homes where they can't get a visitor anymore. People are standing outside the windows building snowmen and holding up signs and stuff. And that's cute, but it's not really, the same as visiting your mom. So that is, like one of the things I resent about COVID. So I'm just going to start talking to myself about that, even though I resent COVID because it's making so many people all over the world suffer. I accept my feelings about that. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not resentful. I wish I weren't resentful. I feel like that's a really like low level, low energy thing. I don't care. I'm gonna be honest. I'm resentful. Even though I resent COVID Also because of how it's affected, this is my main thing, my children. This sucks. It just does. I don't like how my college student daughter is having to not really have a full college experience because of COVID. I don't like how my sixth grade daughter is not really getting to do all the fun things about sixth grade and is only getting to do the like workity work things about sixth grade because of COVID. I resent it. Even though I resent COVID for how it's affected my children, I accept my feelings about that. Okay, so that was twice, right? One more time. Even though I resent COVID for all the harm that it has caused in our world. Oh, it's just a feeling, and I accept my feelings. Okay, now I'm going to go up here and go all the way through it again, all right? This resentment I have about COVID, it is real. This resentment. Now, remember last week somebody asked a really good question in the chat box, which, by the way, you guys can go and ask any question I see we have. I'm going to get to it, Leanne, your question in just a minute because it's a really good question. But we the person said it makes me feel uncomfortable to keep saying something negative over and over and over. That's like negative self-talk, and that's bothering me. And a lot of people say that. There's a reason that we're doing it, and that's because we are bringing your attention to the problem. Like I said, we accept that we have this. We're not just like, I think I'll tell you. You can just tap on yourself. I just want to relax. I'm going to tap on myself. But a much more effective way to use tapping is to focus your attention on whatever problem that you're having and then tap, okay? And it really works. The positive part about it, we don't have to keep saying the positive part over and over and over because this isn't affirmations. If you want to use affirmations, use affirmations. But that's not what this is. The positive part is the tapping. The tapping itself is telling our amygdala it's okay. Calm down. Without saying calm down because that's a very annoying thing to say. It's just letting our system know, even though this does exist, COVID exists, the effects of COVID exist. Even if you don't somehow believe in the COVID virus, you can see the effects all over the world. Even though COVID and the tapping is the positive part. But I do understand if you don't want to keep saying something negative over and over, you can just add the positive part at the end if you want to. And the positive part is it's just a feeling, right? So you start at the top, even though I do resent COVID, it's just a feeling. Even though I do resent COVID, it's a very, very, very strong feeling. You can use humor here. That's what I usually do. I let myself be sarcastic, even though COVID has ruined life as I know it. It's an exaggeration, but it's just a feeling, right? Even though COVID has ruined life as I know it, oh, I guess I accept it. Even though COVID is like ruining my children's lives in a certain way, okay, they're all right, but I don't like this. That's just a feeling. It's just a feeling, and it's my feeling. And you notice I'm like kind of vocalizing sometimes. If you don't know what to say, you can just focus your attention on the problem and go, oh, it's really helpful. Seriously, that sounded sarcastic, but it wasn't. Even though I do have this feeling of, I resent COVID. I'm done. I'm sick of it now. I'm over this now. Okay. Remember, I'm just going through the points. And COVID keeps going. I kind of resent it by now. I resent this. You know, and you know what? I do feel it coming down, you guys. I would say I went from a 6 up to like a 7 at least. And now, still at a 5. Need a little bit more tapping, but at least it's going in the right direction now. So I'm going to tap a little bit more. We've got about 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to get to questions. So even though I have this resentment of COVID, it's just a feeling. I accept my feelings. I do have this feeling of resentment. It was pretty strong. It was a 7. Now it's a 5, and you can say that. You can talk about the numbers of it. Even though I had this resentment that was a 7, I accept my feelings about it. Everybody has strong feelings about this, whether they're talking about it anymore or not. And these are my feelings about it. Remember, with K27, I like to tap both because this is a really important point. Even though I do have these feelings of resentment, I accept myself. And then I can go into it a little bit more because, like I said, I know myself. You know yourself. I do go to resentment pretty often. That's my go to. So I'm going to go and address that a little bit. Even though I go to resentment, I resent the things. It's because I'm a Virgo and I'm a perfectionist and I can see how things should be, or I think they should be. Why didn't God ask me how things should be? Even though I could see how that I think things should be, they're not there, and that's where the resentment comes in. And that's why EFT works so well for me, because this is about acceptance. It's not about saying that everything's okay like it is. It's just about accepting that you see where it is and you see where you want it and you accept that there's a difference between those two things. Oh, even though I have this resentment thing, here we go again with the resentment, I accept myself. Even though I tend toward resentment, I love myself. Oh, there's this resentment thing. I'm just going to go through the points again. There's this resentment thing, and I know, and it's okay. I love myself anyway. Even though I have this resentment, and you know what? That is really, when I say I love myself, I can feel, remember I said before, I felt it in my heart. I can feel my heart then, like before it felt like a heavy, like angry energy. And as soon as I say I love myself, it like really gets warm and expansive and it just feels kind of okay. Nothing changed in my life in the past 5 minutes. My kids are still doing school the way they are, and my my friends' parents are still feeling not good in nursing homes the way they are. But I gave myself acceptance and I gave myself even love. So that's what the EFT does, you guys. All right, so with 2 minutes left, I'm going to this question. Should we do this every day or multiple times a day? And what a good question, because you can use this however you want. I highly recommend doing it at least every day. But if you skip a day, it's your thing. It's your thing to use. Maybe you're having a really fabulous few days. And so, no, you don't have to keep doing it. But if you, like me, have things that do come up every day, I mean, I'm super sensitive, you guys. That's partly why I'm such a good intuitive healer, because I'm sensitive. But it often feels like kind of a bit of a burden because I'm so sensitive. And so I use this to just go, oh, even though I'm tired, even though I hate COVID right now, even though, or even though I have these feelings, I accept myself. So you can do it every few days, you can do it every few weeks, you can do it multiple times a day. And it depends on how your day is going, really. I have been known to use it multiple times a day. I have also been known to skip a few days when things really are going like really well and just flowing. So you can use this. It really is like a tool in your back pocket that you would use whenever you need it. Oh, somebody said, "Can I do this while driving?" No, please don't. Please don't do this while you're driving. Anytime really, than while you're driving or doing something that requires your full attention. So you guys, I hope this is helpful. I fully believe that it is because I see the effects in my life and my clients' lives. If you have any questions, ask them on here on Facebook. You can email, and you can if you're interested, have like a 15-minute free consult with me. Also, you can email me if you want that at tara@beyondyourbelief.com. And of course, I do full sessions with people, but I'm going to keep on with these Too Much Tuesdays. So please, keep giving yourself this little gift of these energy tools because I know they will make your life better. And that's what I want. So thanks, you guys. Good to see everybody. Hopefully next week we'll figure out the Facebook Live guest thing. And where's my little stop button? Bye.